So problem 12 comes from section 3 of the pretest, and this is the section over order of operations. So remember, the order of operations are parentheses, exponents, multiply or divide from left to right, and then add or subtract from left to right. So it's whichever comes first, or like we like to say in class, PEMDAS. So the first thing I see here when I see 14 divided by 7 times 5 minus 3 squared is my exponents. So I'm going to underline that, and that's going to show what I'm working on. So I'm going to continue to copy down the rest of the problem. And 3 squared is 9. Now I have 14 divided by 7 times 5 minus 9. Now I'm looking, I don't have any more exponents, I don't have any parentheses. Now I'm multiplying or dividing whichever comes first from left to right. Well, if I look from left to right, I see 14 divided by 7 comes first, so I'm going to work that out. So 14 divided by 7 is 2, so that leaves me with 2 times 5 minus 9. Again, going through PEMDAS, I did the parentheses, I did the exponents, multiply or divide. Well, I see multiplication there and subtraction, so that means I need to multiply. That leaves me with 10 minus 9, and my answer is 1. So problem 14 also comes from the order of operations section, and for these, it wants us to evaluate each expression if A equals 8, B equals 4, and C equals 16. So we're just going to substitute all these values in for these numbers. So I'm left with 8 squared times 4 times 16 minus 4 squared. So again, we're working through the order of operations. The first thing is parentheses. I have a lot of parentheses here, but all of these are used for multiplication. So I move on to exponents. Well, I've got exponents here and here. And since they are separated by subtraction, I can do both of these steps at the same time. So my next step is 64, 8 times 8, that's 64, times 4 times 16, minus 16. Now I'm just multiplying because it's parentheses, exponents, multiply or divide from left to right. So I'm going to multiply 64 times 4 first. That's what comes first from left to right. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 6 is 24, plus 1 is 25. So we're left with 256 times 16 minus 16. Then my next step is going to be to multiply 256 times 16. When I show my work, I kind of like to show a running log over here. So I just kind of like to keep doing work after the number's already written instead of rewriting it and taking up more space. So I have 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 5 is 30, plus 3 is 33. Carry the 3. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 3 is 15. Don't forget to add the 0 here. 1 times 6 is 6, 1 times 5 is 5, and 1 times 2 is 2. And then we add. And my final answer is 4,096. And just so you know, the test will not have any answers in the 4,000s. So on problem 15 here, we have 2b plus 3c squared over 4a squared minus 2b. The values for b is 4, a is 8, and c is 16. So I'm going to start by substituting those values in. So my next line is going to look like 2 times 16 plus 3, no, not 16, undo. 2 times 4, that would be the b value, plus 3 times 16 squared over 4 times 8 squared minus 2 times 4. So now what we're going to do is we're going to work through PEMDAS. So we have parentheses in there, but those are kind of more for multiplication. So we're going to go to our exponents. So we're going to simplify our exponents.
16.
So my next line is going to look like 2 times 4 plus 3 times 16 squared. So we have 16 times 16 over here. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 1 plus 3 is 9. Don't forget your 0 here. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 1 is 1. We're going to add. So our answer is 256. So 3 times 256 over
So what's that 3
4. The 3 is from the original. 4 times 64 minus 2 times 4. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do all of our multiplication. We can do them all at once. We can do 2 times 4, 3 times 256, 4 times 64, and then 2 times 4 because they're all separated by addition or subtraction. So we can just do all of those at one time. So we have 2 times 4, that's 8, plus 3 times 256. Well, I have my 256 over here, so I just write my 3 underneath. I kind of, on my when I show my work, I keep like a continuous because a lot of them relate. Like I did one thing, I did 16 squared, and then that gave me my answer. Then I had an operation I needed to do to that, so I needed to multiply it. So over here, I'm going to multiply that by 3. 6 times 3 is 18. 3 times 5 is 15. Add the 1 is 16. 3 times 2 is 6. Plus 1 is 7. So we have 768. Over